Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. Well, once again, we have a lot to cover today, but we're going to do things a little backwards. Today, we're going to start with our Finn update. Then we have George's birthday photo. Thank you very much, Kate. Then we're going to talk about Harry's book and what's really happening there. And then we have a rewrite of the bench. Let's get started. Starting with Finn, you should know that he appears to have made a full recovery. He pooped out the rest of that stuff. He's feeling much better. He's gone back to sleeping with us, as you can see. He likes to snuggle up behind my husband and lean on his back, although my husband says he puts out a lot of heat. But as you can see, he's all tucked in. And he does that by himself, by the way. He goes completely under the covers, turns around, comes out, and sticks his head out. Now, you guys have got to be aware that with all the comments, 600, 700, 800 comments, I cannot read them all. However, by the messages that I was getting, the emails I was getting from people, I'm assuming that some people were complaining that I said that I was going to use the coffee fund to help offset Finn's medical bills, which, by the way, we did get billed the next day as well. The total actually came to $1,457. So for you namesayers out there who are complaining, let me just say something to you. I am not like Harry and Meghan. I don't take money and not tell you where it's going and not tell you what percentage I'm keeping. I'm not them. I am completely transparent with the funds that you guys send me, as you guys, most of you already know. When you guys sent me a ton of coffee fund money before, I showed you the receipt where we sent hundreds to the animal shelter. When you guys then gave me a lot of coffee money again, I showed you the photos of the coffee and donuts that I had delivered to the frontline workers. And then when we went to the fire stations, I don't pocket the money. I share the money, but I'm telling you where the money went or where it was going to go ahead of time. Therefore, if you were wanting the money to go somewhere else, it's not. So for those of you who donated to the coffee fund to help out with Finn's medical, I am beyond touched, and all I can say is thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And here's some video to show you how Finn is doing today.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you feeling better? Somebody's feeling better.
Little paw where they cut your hair.
Yes! Who's a good boy?
What are you looking for?
Go get it.
I have to tell you all that I actually have a neighbor who lives not too far away from me. When I told her how much Finn's medical bills were, her response to me was, man, if that had been my dog, he would have been put to sleep because I would never have spent that. And I feel sorry for her dog because dogs are like children. They're a lifelong commitment. They're not interchangeable. Remember, we had this discussion when we talked about Meghan's dogs and the one that she dumped off in Canada with somebody because it didn't like Harry. And let me tell you, animals are very sensitive. We all know this. So there's a reason why the dog didn't like Harry. It probably knew what a jerk he was. So Finn has made a full recovery. And he's back to being his playful, sweet self. And we will continue on with the videos. Okay, let's move on to our next story. We're going to keep going with the positive so far on this one and show this absolutely freaking gorgeous photo of Prince George. I just cannot believe that he's 8 years old. I mean, look at that face. He is William's mini-me. I mean, oh my gosh, so cute. If you look at the photos of comparison, I mean, yes, he's definitely William's little, mini-me. Yeah, I love that picture on the right with the wind blowing his hair back. It's just crazy. Is he just not the freaking cutest kid? Love it, love it, love it. And thank you, Kate, for sharing. All right, now we're moving on to our dastardly duo. So as I told you in a previous video, Prince Harry is now penning a memoir after Oprah, after the Me You Can't See, after everything. Now he's writing a book. So of course on Twitter, the first thing I did is put up a thing and say, will you purchase and read this book? 99% said nope. And one of my followers on Facebook suggested that we stage an intervention for the 1% that said yes. We all know now that he's been working on this book for over a year. He received a $20 million advance. Now he claims that profits from the book are going to go to charity, but that does not include the $20 million that he got initially, does it? Now, I have to tell you, people are just tired of these two because they've literally spent the last 18 months doing everything that they told the Queen they wouldn't do. They're making a living off their royal connections and status as royal family members. I mean, it's disgusting. It's just pathetic. It's like they're racist, they're horrible. But wait, remember, I'm a prince. The part that I find absolutely hilarious is that he wrote, and I'm quoting, he wrote, "I'm writing this not as the prince I was born, but as the man I've become." But he signed it, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. It's like, oh my God, tone deaf much? His decision to do this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back and the end of the road for he and his wife. This announcement, people are saying he'll never be able to be seen with his family again. It's just not plausible. This is just ridiculous. The book is coming out in 2022, right at the same time, wouldn't you know it, as the Platinum Jubilee. And it's probably going to overshadow the Queen's celebrations. Now, you should also know that he's using a ghostwriter to do this. So my thought process is if the book bombs, he'll claim that the ghostwriter didn't get it right. You know what I mean? Prince Harry has promised to give a complete account of his life. And people are saying, yeah, it's probably not going to be that truthful. If he doesn't touch on his anti-Semitism where he wore the Nazi uniform, if he doesn't touch on when he used racial slurs calling his co-army people packy heads or ragheads, if he doesn't touch on his alcohol abuse, his drug abuse, his anger management, then no, it will not be a truthful book. I firmly believe, and this is just my opinion, but I believe this is going to be quote unquote Harry's truth. Just like the Oprah interview was Meghan's truth, and almost everything in her interview was eventually debunked as a lie or grossly exaggerated, or she had no receipts for anything that she said. And nobody ever asked her for the receipts, I might add. You know, Gayle King, let's not forget, went on the morning show and said that Meghan has those receipts, but she's never released them. Nobody's ever seen them. I don't think anybody's even asked for them. So I put nothing in this book. Just to show you how tone deaf he is, Page 6 reported that Harry said, "This is not an FU to my family." But do you guys remember when he did the Me You Can't See? And he said that he honestly thought that after the Oprah interview, everything they said in the Oprah interview was said with compassion, and therefore there would be an open avenue to where they could all come together and heal. Yes, this man was delusional enough to think that he could trash his family on international TV and then they could come together and heal. He's nuts. So I'm going to go with what this young lady said. Give him the privacy that he's always said he wanted. Don't buy the book. They're calling him now the Prince of Hot Air. I totally believe that. Harry has a default setting, this article points out, which I agree. He has a default setting that whatever mistakes he's made in his life have been somebody else's fault, or somebody else is, to blame for it. His father is to blame for this. The palace is to blame for the death of his mother. This is to blame for this. That's to blame for that. The man has never taken any responsibility for anything he's ever done. Does anybody notice that? He blames everybody but himself. Two more things I want to say on this topic. Number one, it's being reported that the only reason, I always wondered how Meghan got her book deal. It's been reported that she got the book deal that was part of Harry's negotiations. I'm going to do mine, but you have to publish Meghan's bench book. And that's probably how that happened, because I was always wondering how that happened. And number two, Harry still believes that his mother was murdered. We figured that out from the Me You Can't See, where he said that they're not going to stop until Meghan is dead. And that, his mother was in an accident because she was dating somebody who wasn't white. It's the whole conspiracy theory. That's all going to be in the book. I guarantee it. And it's a bunch of bunk, and we all know it. This man really is mentally ill. We all know that he's been riding his mother's coattails he's exploiting the memory of his mother. And now it looks like the release of the book is going to center on the 25th anniversary of her death, as well as during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. There's just no stopping these two. It's also being leaked now that after Harry's memoir is released, it's Meghan's turn. I mean, I don't get it. Isn't that what Finding Freedom was? I mean, we already know she colluded in the book, but I guess she thinks that Omid didn't do a good enough job because supposedly behind Harry's memoir, here comes Meghan's. I just hope these publishers put something in their contracts that says that if the books don't sell certain amounts, that they have to give back some of the money, because I think they said that Meghan's book sold like 3,000 copies in the United States or in the UK. Like, that's it. Like, her book bombed. I hope the publisher thinks that giving her $700,000 was worth it. All right, now I want to say something about my video from Thursday, which was my mental health tribute to Harry. There was a lot of response to that. People said, maybe he is mentally ill, but I still don't like him. He still knows what he's doing to the family. And don't get me wrong, I completely agree. But a couple of comments from people really caught my attention. Like this comment that was put up by Liz Ann that, what you're seeing on there is what his grandmother sees. And while we're crying out that his title should be stripped, that's probably why she's not doing it. When I go back and look at that video, what I see is a man who on the inside has never grown out of the 12-year-old boy who walked behind his mother's coffin. He's still 12. You know what I'm saying? In his psyche, he's still 12 and he's still angry. And all those years of therapy have done nothing for him, in my opinion. And let's not forget that his brother walked behind that same coffin. And look how well his life has turned out. And Teddy wrote that I should do a before and after. Now, I can tell you that there was one done by a follower called Pilot Hardy that's really, really, really good. If you haven't seen it, you should. All right, I got one more topic, and that's really quickly. Somebody took Meghan's book, The Bench, and reworked it a little. I found it on Twitter. I thought it was absolutely hilarious, so I'm going to read it to you. Here we go. As I was cradling my firstborn, my heart went pump, pump. I'm sorry I dropped him. He went with a bump. I scooped him back up and held him so tight. He's only a doll, so not much of a fright. I called up my husband and cried down the phone, "Hurry, sweet Harry, I need you at home." And so he came a-running, and guess what he found? Pearl and her dolly, both laid on the ground. He picked us both up as I sobbed on the rug. I'll do anything for attention. Goodness knows we all need a hug. So the drama was over, at least for that day. But I'll do one tomorrow. My acting does pay. So, my guys and gals out there, I would love to know your thoughts on the book that Harry is now writing. Do you think he's going to be honest? Do you think Meghan's going to have a hand in on what he's writing? Because I do. What do you guys think about the new writing of The Bench? I love it, personally. And isn't George just the cutest little boy? I just love that. So this is the part where I remind you that you can follow me on Twitter, that you can email me, that I respond to every email, which I do, that leave your comments below, because I do skim through and try to read as many as I can. It does get a little hard once the numbers reach like 800, but I do try. And I'm going to remind you, don't forget about that coffee fund, because I'm no longer going to use that to pay the medical bills. I'm going back to buying myself coffee. Somebody once asked me what it was for, and somebody else responded, think of it as a tip jar. That's what the coffee fund is. It's a tip jar. If you enjoy my videos and you want to leave me a tip, that's what it's for. That's the best way. That's the best explanation I've heard. But it is my coffee fund. I was using it to replace my coffee, which you guys all know I gave up to donate to the local animal shelter and Meals on Wheels. But I'm going back now to paying for my coffee. So as always, my friends, go out, have a great weekend and a fabulous day.